But it's great to have you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Oh man, so there's so much I want to talk about with you, and I really want to get to this game as well because one of the things that I've been doing with Pablo Lopez, Aaron Savali, Jameson Tyone is really talking pitch by pitch and really getting in your head of what it's like actually on the mound and the decisions that you're making, the adjustments, all of that stuff. It's my favorite part of the game,
Mhm.
and I get to vicariously live through you guys after realizing as a D3 pitcher, I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to actually make this. But before we get to that, I kind of want to hear about your development a bit. I mean, last year you were with the Rangers. You had some moments in the majors, and then I've come back from your, I want to say, really like your first and a half Tommy John, because,
Yeah.
right? Can you actually give us a little bit more clarity about really what that process was like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I came into with the Tommy Johns, I came into spring training. So it was spring training of 2018. I just put on a decent amount of weight. Um, some not the best weight, but I got to spring training. We were kind of getting it going into games, and there was a day where I'd like still in a bullpen. I was like something's not right, like arms barking. Go out to the game, and I'm throwing like 85, like
Yeah.
everything I
Oh
had, and then
man.
so blew out or called the trainer out there. Ended up getting MRI, got Tommy John, and then May of 19, I'm 2 days away from being back into like full go game. Like I've gone through all my stuff, and my arm just feels weird. Like it's not as weird as the first time, but it's still like
Hmm.
just a weird feeling like something wasn't right. And so I kind of
Yeah.
had a touch and feel that day. I threw like 6 pitches, barely made it to home plate. And so I like stopped, talked to the medical staff, and I was just like, hey, something's not right. Like I don't know what it is. Got an MRI, partially tore it again. And we had the decision to do like some guys do it where they like don't pick up a baseball for 6 to 8 weeks or whatever, and then they try to
Hmm.
go through. But I sat down with Doc, and I was like, I need you to tell me whichever one I go with, whether it's, going through surgery again. I know it's a longer process of coming back, but I just want to be done
Yeah. Right.
whenever this process is done. If it happens to take a little longer, that's fine. I just want to be done. I want to be able to, play
Yeah.
baseball again. So, and then, yeah, I mean, went back through it. COVID happened, and then, yeah,
Unbelievable. So I mean, so that was like 3 years of pretty much just nope, sitting around waiting for
yeah,
this to happen.
yeah.
Unbelievable. And it must have felt so
So,
rewarding. I mean, coming into the majors and you were at 92, if I remember correctly, with the Rangers a bit. And then
yeah.
all of a sudden it's 96, pushing 100 even in this game we're going to see. Obviously getting involved with Tread helped with that, but I mean, was it like 96 before the Tommy Johns? Was this the first time of you kind of hinting the extra velocity again?
I mean, so every year in spring training, I would like come in and, I'd bump up 95, 96. But then once the
Sure.
season got kind of kicked off, I might have one start at the beginning of the season where I bump a 96 or something, and then it'd kind of settle into the 90, 93, 90, 94 range.
Right.
And then, so actually, I had one of my good friends that went to high school with. Um, he's in pro ball with the Twins. Actually, he's made his debut. We made our debuts same year.
Was that
All
right?
that.
That's
So
cool.
play catch all off season together. But he had started Tread at the end of 22 season,
Hmm.
and so I was like watching him do his workouts, and I was like, all right, like I like it. I'm gonna call Tread. Just kind of sit down and pick their brains. Like I wasn't fully bought in. So we had I don't know, 30, 45-minute phone call, and I liked what I heard. I liked how they went about it. And so I was like, all right, let's do it. And my goal wasn't to like gain so much velocity. It was to maintain the touching the 95, 96 for
Right.
the whole season. It just happened to turn into where 96 was, you know, a little easier to come by last year, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I mean, how does that feel? Like, you feel normal at 92 or so, right? And then
Yeah.
do you feel normal at 96, or do you feel like it's you pushing it more, but then being able to sustain that push?
I mean, I feel like it's, like when I would reach back for 94 when my average was 92 is the same that I am right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like overdo myself. It's just my body's moving a little better. I have some things that are moving a little more efficiently. So it's coming out a little better. It's not that I feel like I'm putting in any more effort than I was
Yeah.
prior.
That's awesome, man. And so here you are, you're with the Rangers, you're fighting. Actually, I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, in the spring of 2023, there was some talk of maybe, okay, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to, is
Yeah.
Cole going to really step into that? I actually remember the first real look I got at you was again, it was in April. You had this 4 inning start where you were sitting upstairs with four seamers at 96. And I remember thinking, wait a second, I could have sworn it was 92 last year, and you did that not just for like 10 pitches or something. You actually sustained that. And was there this feeling in Texas that like, give me that chance, like let me please get that 5 inning, 6 inning outing, and it just kind of never arose for you, or was it like, no, you know what, it's cool, I'll stick to the reliever stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I so went into spring training, Texas had spent some money on some unbelievable starters,
Yeah.
obviously, and so it was more so just wherever they needed me, I was more than happy to, adjust to whatever that be, whether it's, bullpen or, starting, but, I might be a spot start guy or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into spring training and I had a couple starts and then I had a couple like out of the pen outings. So it was kind of a mixture of both and didn't really know what the plan was.
Right.
Um, just tried to like go along with it and adjust, ask questions, that kind of stuff. We get into season, I get told I made opening day as a reliever. Um,
Must have been a great feeling.
but yeah, it was awesome. It was, obviously as the season, as the days go on, you get to know the new guys more and more. And it's like that clubhouse is incredible. I mean, the
Hmm.
group of guys that was over there last year is second to none. It's there, it was fun. It was, relieving was different, but it was like, we had some guys in the bullpen that I was good friends with and pick their brains. And then even the starters like Evaldi, I'd pick his brain about certain things. I mean,
Sure.
watching him, obviously, you saw the success that he had last year and that he's had over his career. I mean, he's an absolute animal in the playoffs and he's an unbelievable guy. So it's fun to, pick his brain about, what he's seen, what he's learned, how he
Right.
goes about certain things. So it's just more so enjoying. It wasn't that, hey, give me the chance to start or anything. It was more so just like soaking in all the possible information from everybody that I possibly could.
Yeah, was there one thing? I mean, yeah, DeGrom, Eovaldi. Is there one piece of advice or one tip that you got from one of these guys? It's just like, oh man, that completely changed my outlook or how I was doing things.
I wouldn't say like one in particular because everyone's different. Everybody has their
Yeah,
different routine and
right.
stuff. But just like the main thing is like watching Evaldi. DeGrom got obviously battled the injuries, stuff
Sure.
like that, and Evaldi, like there's a stretch he went on where it was like he threw a CG, and then his next
Yeah,
start it was like 8 and two
it
thirds,
was
and then
unbelievable.
it was like a month long streak of. I mean,
Yeah.
he had like obviously he's an all star and all that, but that 1 month was the most incredible thing I think I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Like just like we'd sit in the bullpen, and it's just like he's just mowing guys down. Like
Right. Yeah, you had
it's
the
more so
easiest
just like
day.
watching how he goes about it, getting on the iPad, like, oh, he threw this pitch to this guy, like, you know, behind in the count, did this, just how he went about his business behind closed doors, like bullpens, stuff like that is, it just kind of learned from that, just how he means business, and it's
Right.
fun to watch.
Yeah, not all leadership is with words, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's fantastic. So I think really one of the curious things about your situation is from the outside, it seems a lot like the additions that you made, or less so from say Texas or from Kansas City when you arrived, and more so with tread. Is that the right perception? You would say,
With like the slider.
or just like the slider, your velocity increase, just kind of your approach mentality, or is
Yeah.
that actually being infused a lot with what the Rangers or the Royals are telling you?
No, so when I got traded, I had my first start with Kansas City or with Omaha. I was in Omaha.
Hmm.
I gave up like 8 hits in the outing and 6 were to lefties. And I
Yeah.
was like, kind of um, took it to the pitching coach in Omaha. And I was just like, hey, like, what's your thoughts on a slider? Like,
Hmm.
just something that's, still want it hard. I don't want like a sweeper. I still want something, that's like upper 80s, 80 around 87.
Right.
Um, but and he was like, let me talk to the guys up top, and he talked to them, and they were all aboard. And once I got up there and got to talking to them, they said that was one of the things that they wanted to do was add a slider. And
Hmm.
I kind of just toyed around with some different grips and finally found the grip that was comfortable. Me and the pitching coach in Omaha, he showed me a grip. We toyed with it, and finally it just kind of just through like repetition of throwing it in bullpens and stuff,
Yeah.
just kind of got comfortable with it and went from there. And
I
then just
mean,
continued
that
to
thing
try
is
to fine tune it.
that thing is ridiculous. And I mean, especially your embrace of it, not necessarily against lefties, like to righties. That you're, because it's a gyro, works a lot better than a
Yeah.
sweeper would to righties. And I know this sounds silly, but like you threw this 6% of the time against righties, and a 26% swing strike rate is like absolutely bonkers. You don't see that at all. And I mean that addition is in your ability to be like, yeah, cool, 2 strike counts. Sure, I'm gonna throw that slider in down. I
Yeah.
mean, you threw it 3/4 of the time when you threw it to a righty, it was in a 2 strike count, which is just
Yeah.
yep, you saved that pitch and it's super effective.
It's
Uh,
because prior I had the cutter, but the cutter is just small. So it was like guys were just basically micro adjusting their barrel and smoking the cutter. And it was like,
yeah, sure.
I I I got to get something to get just a little more movement, a little more swing and miss, especially with the lefties. It's like not that I need to get rid of the cutter. Like I
Right.
still use the cutter for certain times,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and but the slider was, it definitely helped a lot. Like with just getting a little more swing and miss, something that I they can't really micro adjust their barrel as much to.
Well, I mean, that cutter is you save it for righties as you should. And when it comes to mitigating hard contact, it's one of the best in the majors to right-handers.
I
It's like shockingly good at it. And not because it isn't like you look at it and it looks great. It's just like, how does that happen?
right.
That's really effective.
No, yeah. Like I said, I just basically I still throw the cutter very rarely to a lefty,
Hmm.
just as like something. I don't even know really. It's never like in the like, hey, we're gonna throw a cutter to this guy. It's more
Yeah,
so like
sure.
something happens and it's like, all right, I'm gonna use a cutter in this situation, the perfect situation. Like I don't throw it very much to a lefty anymore, but this is, the situation calls, then, kind of bring it out. Just give them a different look because if they don't see it very often.
Right.
But
Yeah, it does look like that with that cutter. It's like, cool, let's just get this over the plate. Let's not
yeah,
really try and pinpoint this down and away or something along those lines. It's just, hey, you're thinking it's gonna be fastball stays up a little bit. Here's one that dips down. It's different velocity. Just kind of keep them off
yeah,
balance. And yeah, it does look like it's your third most thrown pitch over the curve and the
yeah,
changeup against lefties.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the other stuff I really want to talk about is watching you pitch. It's so fun for me because I'm very much about do not give in to the batter.
Mm.
And it's very clear that you're the same way. I mean, I joke about this all the time, but I don't think there's a pitcher in the majors that loves a 3-2 changeup as much as you do. And I love it so much. Guys got to stop throwing fastballs and you put that right at the bottom of the zone. I mean, when did you start doing that, embracing the changeup in 3-2 counts?
Honestly, I got to pro ball when I got drafted. I got to pro ball, and in high school, I had a changeup, but I was more fastball curveball.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, really big laces on the ball in high school, so it's super easy to kind of,
Yeah. Oh,
you
man.
know,
The super
rip.
seams.
Yeah, yeah. And so I got to pro ball, and they wanted me to throw a changeup,
Mhm.
and so I start toying around with it. We do these drills, throw a softball with changeup grip, and it like kind of I caught on to it pretty quick because I lost my curveball. Like I had no
Right.
curveball because the laces got a little smaller. Just
Sure.
I don't really know. And so I went through my first in short season. I was essentially fastball changeup. Like
Hmm.
it was like, and my biggest thing was, fall behind in the count. Like you always hear, like you need to be able to throw something other than your fastball when you're behind in a count
Right.
because obviously 2-0 count, a guy's sitting dead red heater,
Yep.
and if you throw it down the middle, it's probably going to go really far. And so it's like learning, and you can still throw the 2-0 heater by all means. It just kind of depends on the guy and what the situation calls for and
Yep.
what the score is. But the no, I just started messing with it and I got more and more comfortable with it. And then it was like, all right, 3-2, like super aggressive count for hitters. And it's like they're looking for a heater to it's like I have to throw a strike. So the guy's going to be ready for a strike. And it's like if I can keep them a hair off balance, if they still make contact, it might not be as hard, might get them to, roll it over, pop it up, something like that. And
It's beautiful, man. I dig it so much, and it really I think the coolest part about it is, I mean, I guess I'll ask it this way. When I talk to pitchers, sometimes they come into a game and say, "Cool, this is our game plan. This is, this guy we're gonna be doing this kind of thing, this guy we're gonna do that kind of thing." And then there are others, where we're talking to Pablo, he's very much of like, that is my general book, but I will now watch them as they go through the at bat. I will see
Yeah.
how aggressive are they. Are they on that first pitch? Are they passive on it? Are they jumping out of their shoes for a fastball? How do I attack this? And I remember some of these, like watching a game against the Astros with Jeremy Pena, who all he wanted was a heater,
Hmm.
and he swings over the top of a changeup and he throws a cutter inside on the next one. He fouls that off. And then at 0-2, when he's so backed up on these, you finally give him the fastball he wants and you blow it by him. And it's the most satisfying thing in the world. And I can't even imagine what's going through your head there. And that's like a situation of, you see the first at bat of Pena wanting that heater and then grinding out on that and being, okay, cool, maybe I got away with that. Is that kind of how you go through the game? Is it more, hey, cool, we just generally know that Pena wants a fastball, so like let's just
Yeah.
play with that. How much is it before planning or in game?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big, like, I write down my own scouting report
Hmm.
prior to my outing. So, like, I have a notebook. I get a new notebook every year, and it's got
Oh, that's great.
every outing that I make, like the team. And it's just like if I face the people like Houston being with Texas, I'd face Houston, a few times. They've seen me, I've seen them.
Right.
And so you learn things about, certain guys, but I write my stuff down like a baseline of like, all right, this is, might be fastballs in, cutters in, bury the curveballs, bury the sliders, like don't leave them in the zone and stuff like that. And so it basically, I get into game. This is one thing that I've like been trying to learn is like reading swings a little more. And
Yes.
I'm picking up on little things here and there. I'm still learning a lot on that, but it's like I've learned a lot over the past year of like picking up more things. Obviously, when I first got into the big leagues in 22, made my debut, I wasn't. It was strictly by the book. What my scouting report, kind of let the catcher. Obviously, Jonah Heim was catching me
Hmm.
in my debut, and so it's like I'm letting him do it, and for the most part, like I've had some great catchers with Texas and Kansas City, and so
Yeah.
it's we go over our report pregame, and then in between innings we also talk. It's like, hey, like this guy's not supposed to be aggressive, but he's being super aggressive today, and
Hmm.
it's like I think there was an outing with Kansas City. I threw against in Boston, and
Oh
we
yeah. Oh man, that was
faced
the August 2nd start. Oh, phew,
uh,
that was one of the most fun games of the year, man.
but Casas is not supposed to be aggressive, and he
Mm,
ended up being super aggressive in his first AB. Like I think I threw him a first pitch heater. It was supposed to be away, and it leaked like middle in, and he absolutely hammered it. And I was
yeah.
like, all right, like I mean, granted, middle-ish, middle fastball, like all right, second AB, I think I threw him. What did I throw him? First pitch curveball, I think,
Hmm.
and he swung, and I was like, all right. I was like, what is going on? Like this guy's not supposed to be aggressive, and so it just
Right.
kind of like I start picking up on little things, and it's like, all right, well then this next at bat, I'm going to do this, or we brainstorm with pitching coaches and the catcher in the dugout. It's kind of like, hey, like we're seeing this. They might see something that I'm doing, and they're like, hey, give me a little pointer or something like that, or
Right.
just kind of, it's like a continuous brainstorming of like us just making little game plans in between each innings. Like, hey, we're going to do this is the first pitch to this guy. This is the first pitch to this guy. Basically, the first three batters of the inning. That way, it's just kind of we know what we're doing the first pitch, and then we'll feed everything else off of that, depending on what happens with that first pitch.
Yeah, that first pitch is really the hardest one
Yeah,
because that's where they start to give their hand of
yeah,
what they're trying to do. Oh man. And when you guys are doing this game plan, there are a lot of different ways that pitchers can assess hitters,
hmm
right? I've heard from before of saying, cool, what is, the very basics are like the MLB The Show heat maps, right?
yeah,
Which I'm not a big fan of personally because of
hmm
just the samples of that, the context of those. That's only in play. There's a
right.
lot of noise involved in that. But there's things like swing aggression in certain counts. What are they looking at for certain ones? Is there a certain grouping or certain areas in particular that you focus on more when it comes to game prep?
So I do look at the heat maps a little bit
Hmm.
with just to see where like damages and swing and
Yeah.
miss is. So I'll look at like, all right, their damage is here, their swing and miss is here, their ground ball percentage is super high with this pitch in this
Oh, nice.
location. In case
Yeah.
it's like, in case it's, I need a ground ball here. Like
Right.
I've had a long inning. I need some quick outs,
Yep.
like something like that. But I also watch just video. Like I'll get on the iPad,
Nice.
and just it's basically like, all right, who's a lefty that has faced this team prior in the year that I can remember, had a pretty good start against them. So it was like going into Houston at the end of the year with Kansas City. Like obviously I faced them, but I do my homework every time. Like I had back-to-back starts against them. And I still did
Yeah.
in between. It's like, all right, watching my outing, what did I not do good? What did I
Sure.
do well? But going into the first start against him, I think Blake Snell had thrown against him like within like the last like week or two, and I mean lefty, similar velo. It's like obviously he uses his curveball a lot, and
Hmm.
it's an absolute banger. But just like kind of watching how he pitch guys and stuff, and it's just trying to find guys with similar stuff. Like if it's like a lefty that throws nothing but sinkers, I don't watch it. I just want to see, it doesn't matter. I just want to see lefty four seams. Like I think John Means had just thrown against him as well, which he's a big
Sure.
fastball changeup guy. And so it was like, all right, when's he using his changeup? Where's he throwing his fastball? Just kind of, I'll just go through and watch their starts and get little ideas and stuff like that.
I think that's great that you're also saying, look, I don't want to just see everyone. I want to see specifically something that matches me as close as
Yeah.
possible so I can get a good sense of it. Right. Yeah. No sinkers.
Yeah.
I mean, I would normally, I'm someone that believes in the sinker only when it's same handedness.
Yeah.
And you don't need that because as a lefty with that slider, it's like, oh, it's fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need to like waste time trying to perfect this one pitch inside to a lefty. Now, it's also curious I mentioned Blake Snell because I often compare the two of you as guys that, maybe it's a little bit higher walk rates than the average, but that's okay. That's kind of part of the design.
Yeah.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I mean, I remember even watching like the Cardinals start, um, where I believe it was the Cardinals start, where essentially it was like maybe your second one, maybe after Fenway.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
where that was a rougher one, but it
Mhm.
was also one where you still didn't give in.
Yeah.
You still were like, cool, okay, I will take my walks. That's okay. Instead of putting that pitch over the plate. I mean, is that really what's going through your head a ton of just like, I'm not going to settle. I'm going to try and make that best pitch every time.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have tendency to just like start trying to um, uh, almost like make a perfect pitch
Hmm.
instead of just trusting my stuff.
Sure.
It's like sometimes I just need to do more so of like, if it's just trust my I have a game plan going into that against this batter. Like, just trust my game plan,
Yeah.
attack them. Like, the biggest thing, like you watch some of the guys, like somebody that I thoroughly enjoy watching it. He's right-handed, but I mean, Garrett Cole every year is like 200 innings
It's
every single
amazing.
year. Like, it's I've watched highlight videos on YouTube of him. Like, it's just like watching guys like that. Like, he never gives in. He's just full attack mode all the time, and he's like, basically, like, my stuff is better than anybody. I don't care who's in the box. Like, and he just goes at him, and that's
Right.
essentially why he's getting to throw 7, 8, 9 innings so much during the year and get to that 200 plus inning mark every year. And it's like, it's incredible. So it's more so I have tendency to, where it's try to make too perfect of a pitch instead of just being like, here you go, like, uh, hit me, like, try it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
Luke Weaver would talk about that with Scherzer,
Yeah.
where he was a
I
change for
actually,
him in the moment, doing exactly that.
yeah, I know Weave really well.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah. He's awesome.
And yeah, I mean, I would love to just kind of go over this game a bit with you. This
Yeah.
is an interesting one specifically for me because you're clearly in the zone right from the get-go. And I would love to just kind of walk through it with you and just also, when it comes to each of your pitches as they come up, just what you're thinking and trying to attack with each.
Yeah.
And that's fun for me, is just to see how you're doing this game plan, how you're executing it.
Yeah.
So we have this one here against the Chicago White Sox, and you start out just pumping 98. That I know it stuttered a little bit there, but this is Tim Anderson swinging out of his shoes, and for whatever reason, it's incredibly stuttering. So I'm going to try and fix that now. But this about Tim Anderson, he has a high swing aggression, right?
Mhm.
I assume that's just what your game plan is, just like pump these in as much as I can.
Yeah, like, he's a big contact guy. Like, I know he's got, he's previous years he's hit over 300. Like, I hadn't faced the White Sox since this is who I made my debut against with Texas.
Oh wow.
So Tim Anderson was the first guy I've ever faced in the big leagues, and pretty sure he swung at the first pitch I ever threw in the big leagues and fouled it off. And so I was like, I knew he's, high contact guy, pretty aggressive, looking to just get on base. He can run a little bit. So it was more so just like, see what happens. Like, it's nobody's on. Like, I don't, he's not really like a big power guy. So it was more so like he's a gap to gap guy. I just feel
Right.
like is like where he does this damage.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of attack and see what happens.
I think he was one of the last guys to get a home run last year. So very, very true about that. So continuing on, I went back. Of course I did. I won one here, and now you're going inside, and it's 96. For some reason, it's stuttering as it goes, but the movement on that one, I remember watching it before, is a dip. It's almost as if that's the cutter, but that's too hard to be 96, right?
All right, so I had a couple cutters last year get up to like around 90, 95, I think. I don't know if
Right.
that was a cutter right there. I know that our game plan was to go in, and the cutter in was really good against them, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So, but I don't. Usually my fastball will have a hair run.
Sure. I mean, yeah, well, right, absolutely run away, and it's actually what's kind of interesting about that here is it's a fantastic one. It's not the most IVB one that I've seen,
Yeah.
but actually, correct me if I'm wrong. I saw you doing some trade athletics work, and it looked like you were getting more vert on that four seamer this offseason. Is that right?
I mean, it's not really something that I think last year I averaged like 17.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I listen to little tips and stuff from like guys that have talked to, other guys. And it's like, hey, like, if you think this when you throw it, like, it usually helps like kind of backspin your ball and get a little more ride with it and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I toy around with stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's never like hey, like, I'm focusing solely on, vert this off season or
Yeah.
something.
No, that makes a ton of sense. So 1-2, you coming back in. Yeah, now you're throwing it to 100. You're trying to get that inside. Are you imagining that he didn't swing at this one because he was looking for off speed at 1-2?
Uh, I just think it was up and arm side. I think if I
Mhm.
got it down a hair,
Yeah.
I think I get a swing,
Yeah.
or he just freezes him obviously in. But
I
it
mean,
was
you threw
1-2.
100.
It was 1-2. I was like, I'm gonna, basically just try to throw this middle up and see what
Right.
happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the rare times that you threw 100 the entire year, I think, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of like 99.5 to
Mhm.
99.8. So it's like round up. I think honestly the only time I hit like a true like 100.0 plus was Oakland. I had like a
Oh my gosh.
101.0. There's a ball, but
Yeah, whatever, you hit it.
it was like 0-2, nobody on. I
Yeah,
was like,
right. I mean, that's the moment you're like,
no,
"Okay, let's
let
just
it
see what
fly.
happens."
Yeah.
Uh, but, I mean, what is that like for you when that happens? You know, when that kicks in? I mean, you must have been feeling great that day in Chicago, or actually in Kansas City hosting Chicago.
Yeah, sometimes I come out of the gate, I like get back in the dugout and I'm like, I need to like take a step back and like
Mm,
I'm letting it fly a little too much. Like I
right.
feel like I'm out of breath. I need to, relax a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
did you feel that there was a bit more adrenaline for you last year than usual just because, hey, here you are, you finally get to have every 5 days be a starter?
I get super nervous before every
Is
start,
that right?
no matter where I am. Like it could be, double A, triple A, the big leagues. Like I'm a big nervous guy. Like I have to wake up and immediately eat my breakfast pretty quick, and then it's like throughout the day I just eat little snacks because I just
Uh-huh.
can't sit down and eat a meal. Like
That's amazing.
I get butterflies. Like it's
But
I like
is it, like,
walk out.
excited energy, or is it just, "Oh, man, I don't know?"
It's like the like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It's just like it's the day that I've worked for, the past 5 days. Like this is the day,
Right, right,
and it's
right.
just like I don't know. I just get nervous.
Oh,
I'll
man.
go sit in the bullpen like 5 to 10 minutes before I need to start getting loose, just to like kind of soak it in and breathe,
Mhm. Yeah.
and like kind of get myself to relax a little bit. And then
Oh,
once I get on the mound, I'm good. It's just like
yeah.
the build up of getting to the game that day.
No, I completely understand. It's like all you can think about, and you're so excited. It's almost like it's Christmas Day each day,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that can overcome. And it's interesting when you hear about like being anxious or nervous. It's not necessarily about fear of failure. It's just more of just this is the thing you're focused on. It's just
Yeah,
all
yeah,
consuming.
yeah.
Right. Uh, all right. So here we go. 100 here. I would imagine it's got to be some off speed pitch down and in now. You're trying to get the slider, I assume,
Yeah.
down, and you see that he fouls it off up and in.
If I
And
rem
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I remember right, this game, I left a lot of stuff. Like, I was leaving heater like, fastballs, like, up and arm side, and on my slider, like, I got not saying the whole outing, but, like, there was more than I felt like in previous outings. Like, I was, like, leaving it, my misses were up and arm side instead of, like, down. It was
Hmm.
stuff like that, if I remember right.
Right. And, it's actually kind of interesting too, is you're talking about the reading the batters as you go and what they mean. I'm obsessed with this. I feel like this is like the
Mhm.
lost art of the game a bit, is that there's so much that is the pregame work. And the guys like Yadier Molina, what he was so good at was reading the batters as it happened, right?
Mhm.
And so much so that I was talking to a club and they had me write out my own book of just like, this is what all this means, kind of, because
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it and things like that. So you see a high and tight slider that, I mean, it's a little bit out and over. He's doing a very defensive swing on it.
Yeah.
And seeing a defensive swing on a slider like that kind of tells me that he wasn't really locked in on one,
Yeah.
especially being that late on it. If he's thinking slower off speed, I mean, he's pulling that thing then.
I would
Um,
assume a guy like him, 2 strikes. I haven't thrown him one yet. He's probably looking something change up out over.
mm, sure.
Uh, I I know I've thrown him like I've threw him a few the first time I ever faced him. So I mean, he's been around for a little bit. He knows too. Like
Sure, yeah,
I'm sure he's done his homework.
right. So let's see. So 1-2 fouled off. I probably just missed it. I did. 2-2 coming in. Do you go back to it? And I dig that approach. I mean, that's something I point at as a positive a lot when I see guys not necessarily execute exactly what they want the first time, and instead of going to something else, you think, no, I got to execute this thing. I
Yeah,
can if I do it right, I'm going to do it. And it's also the best time to do it because you just threw it incorrectly, and now you have that fresh in your mind that you can make all those adjustments.
yeah.
I love this.
It like I see up an arm side a little bit right there.
Sure, but I mean, it's still the
But
mentality of
it's
like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, 100%.
That brute force it through.
Yeah,
And yeah, he wasn't looking for it, right? Like
yeah,
he's wanting something else, realized his last moment that maybe it might come back over the plate. So he's got to swing at it. And I love the fact that, by the way, it says Jimenez in the bottom left, they've just completely skipped over. Is something for some reason. With this one, you miss away 1-0 with a heater, and there's a part of me that always says, "Oh man, you miss a fastball away like that. You have him beat with a cutter inside now."
mhm.
I'm curious actually if that's what you go with here. Oh, you try and go with
Yeah,
I think
I
a
think a
changeup.
curveball.
Oh, was that a curveball?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and earlier on, correct me if I'm wrong, you relied more on that curveball before you had the slider, right?
Yeah, so it was just more so like a comfort thing. Like I've been trying to get comfortable with the curveball, and like as the year went on, I got a little more and more comfortable with it. But before I had the slider, it was I either threw a cutter or a curveball if I wanted some
Mhm.
spin, obviously.
Right. Yeah, right.
But
And
still kind of, I don't know. I was not very comfortable with the curveball. I finally found a grip that I was comfortable with like last off season, and so it was like I was getting more use, I guess, started to use it.
which one is that? I used to do the Zito version, which I put the seams between my
So I
index
just
and
spike
middle.
it. I
So
actually,
yours is a proper knuckle curve.
yeah, here,
Or
hang on. I have a
yeah.
ball right here.
So like for me, I used to do thumb on the inside of the bottom seam, all index finger, not the pop the gun that would do the middle finger going up. And then some guys love to do the thumb underneath the seam to try and get extra spin that turns over. It just always felt so abnormal to me. And I can never do the knuckle. It's
Yeah,
just too
so
weird for me.
I'm like, here's like the seam, and then I
Oh
guess I'm
yeah, right. Oh
trying to.
my gosh. So like as you're releasing this, you're flicking out with your
So like
finger.
basically like my whole thought process with my curveball is like I talked to I was actually last spring training, I was talking to Jack Leiter.
Mm-hmm.
We'd both just thrown a bullpen. I had finished a little bit before him, and I was watching him throw, and I mean, stuff is absolutely electric and
Right.
has a really good curveball. And I was like, what's your thought process when you're throwing your curveball? Like it's like yours is super consistent of like the spin and how the shape of it is, and it's always popping out kind of like your heater and going down. And he's like
Right.
basically, and once he said it, it really like I was like, wow, like it makes a lot of sense. And then I started watching guys, and I'm like, all the guys with with good curveballs, if you slow it down, they're kind of doing the same thing. And it's basically like my thought process is like when I'm throwing it is like basically throw it with the front of my wrist, even though I'm never gonna throw it like this. Like it's never gonna
Right.
come out like
Yeah.
this. But that thought process just gets me to the front of the ball to where I can
Sure.
pull and, get the
Right.
spin and shape I want.
And for me, it was always just, hey, karate chop to my left ankle.
Yeah.
Like think fastball up to here, and then you lead with your pinky down like that, and that would allow me to get that side of it. That would make sure I wouldn't completely go like this or turn
Right.
over pronate or supinate too much. And that's the way I used to do it, and I can't imagine how people try to teach me that one too of flicking it out, and I just nope. And
I've
having
gone
that as a
through
base even.
every yeah, I've gone through every curveball grip. I like one day one will work, and then finally I got this one with that thought process, and
Yeah.
it worked,
And what was the
perfect.
slider grip that you learned as well?
So it's literally I'm trying to like if here's my curveball, all
Right?
I'm doing is taking it, and it's like
Yes. So actually, it's
like
even
so
close to like a yeah, right. So you're taking like a four seamer and
yeah,
tilting it.
so like essentially so like my cutter would be my cutter would just be offset four seam. Like
Mhm.
here's my four seam, here's my
Yep.
cutter. And then this one is like the balls just turn the other way and I'm going, all I'm trying to do is like put my middle finger is like hooked into this like
Yeah, right into the middle of
yeah,
the
and I'm
spin.
just trying to
Yeah.
like rip down the side of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right, that's because you're sitting more on top of that one as
Yeah.
opposed to getting around it like the sweeper would.
Yeah.
That's why you have all that good gyro on it, which is beautiful. And it's so important that you have that as opposed to the sweep because the cutter, it just completely separates.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes it so deadly. Thanks for that. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's continue here. We have 2-0 now. And you're like, all right, fine. I'm not even going to play around. This is what we're talking about with the different types of batters. Here, you're thinking, just no, I'm just going to let it rip inside the zone as best I
Yeah.
can. Getting to 2-1. Now you feel like, I think you can be more in attack mode. And he just gives you a gift. I mean, I always loved seeing a guy square around. I
Yeah.
imagine you felt athletic enough, like, sure, I'll field a bunt. I've done this forever.
Yeah.
It's
No,
totally
yeah, I
fine.
mean, I wanna say Rimillard's pretty quick guy, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm falling to third base side, so I think he's trying to push it past me to
So towards first base or
yeah,
so.
so
Yeah.
then it's kind of in that no man's land, and he's quick, so it's try to, just
Right.
get on base.
It's also a feeling of like, I don't know, it always gave me confidence because they're trying this is the only way they can beat me, you
Yeah.
know? Is this old school way of doing that. So here you are 2-2 after seeing him kind of fail at those two fastballs. Yeah, you throw another one past them. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's like I threw you two fastballs,
Yeah.
you did nothing with them. Like show me that you can
Yeah, basically
do
yeah,
this.
like, I'm gonna, throw this until you prove me
Right.
otherwise, I guess, is sometimes my thought mentality, like, if it's
Yeah.
working, I'm gonna keep trying it until, you know, we
So you
see
need
we
me with
see
it.
what happens.
Yeah, and also you throw in like 99, it's like, "Okay, cool, I'm good." Uh, now against Eloy, the general thought process, you see a big boy, you throw spin. You don't throw a fastball first pitch, especially with 2 outs, you don't want him to just kind of
And
mess
he's
you up
got
in
a
one
l a
swing,
lot of power.
right? So with this, is this like cutter first normally?
I wanna say with him, it was just, like, go in, like,
Sure.
four seams in, cutters in.
"Hey,
I
cutter first." "Oh, I got you. No problem."
That's funny. That's great. I think
1-0.
I changeup maybe?
Oh, it
Nope,
looks like that you
another
did a
one.
second one, yeah, and you got the
Yeah,
call fortunate of
yeah.
that one. But again, like you missed on the first one. I love the fact that you're doubling up. Like you're not
Yeah.
afraid to go back to it. You're like,
Well,
no,
the
I'm going
thing
to
that with
execute
the
this.
cutter right there is, like, if I get it in there, it's far enough in, I feel like it kinda can't get extended on it.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So it's,
absolutely.
see
Uh,
what happens.
I mean, I don't think it's so rare to see a lefty get beat on a cutter inside, especially above 90.
Yeah.
I mean, Wade Miley's made a career out of this.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, honestly, like I often call you the unicorn just because you have like the Wade Miley approach of changeups away and then the cutter inside. You have 99 upstairs too. You have the gyro slider down and away. You also have a curveball you throw for strikes. Like it's a lot. It's an amalgamation of well, cool. Let's make our favorite pitcher. Um, so the fact that you're utilizing all of these and doing it uh with confidence, I love it. And it's like, yeah, have a 10% walk rate if you need to. It's fine.
No.
You're gonna have like a super low hit rate, and that's great. Uh Huge fan. Um yeah, someone teach David Peterson how to throw a cutter. They say, oh, so that must have been the changeup there.
Yeah, there
Uh
it is, yeah.
wow. So that looked like it had more horizontal than I'm used to from it.
Yeah, sometimes there was a few I threw this year that I kinda surprised myself. Like,
That's a great
it's
feeling.
because, like, majority of the time, like, my changeup's not a big, like, movement profile. It's not like it's, like, super low vert and a lot of horizontal. It's more so like a big velo difference. Like, I still
Mhm.
get, a decent amount of movement, but there was a few this year that I threw that I was like, I don't know if I turned it over a little harder
Sure.
or, the weather, wind plays an effect on the
Yep.
change up, so I don't know, but
Yeah, that
it,
was a cool
I'll,
one.
I'll take them. I'll take them
And
when I can get them.
and you see that too.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can't give him a heater now.
Yeah.
Like he is.
I
I mean, you throw
I
another one,
honestly
or
have no idea what I did right here. I might give him a heater in.
oh, you did. Okay,
It was
yeah, you
supposed
gave
to
him
be in. It was supposed to be in, which
right.
I like that just because I got him to chase so far off. It's like he's looking so far out there if he's chasing that
Yeah,
changeup that
yeah, that makes
if I
sense.
can get my, 96, 97 to the inner third of the plate,
Right,
it's, you know, I feel like I can beat him, or if anything, he's gonna hit a ground ball, soft
sure.
pop up because I've got him looking so far out over.
And are you someone that saves things through the game? Like, hey, I have a slider, but I don't want to show that in the first inning.
Depends on who it is.
Okay,
So, like certain guys, I will try my best to save a certain pitch, like whether that be the slider. It's like, hey, I'm gonna wait till maybe I'm facing this guy in like the sixth or seventh inning with a guy in scoring position and I need a punchy like really bad. It's like then
right,
I can
right,
break out that slider or something to get the swing and miss. And they haven't seen it, you know, all afternoon.
right. So I mean, so like for example, Zach Gallen says, "Look, first inning, think like a closer. I don't care. I show everything now, and then that means that they're thinking about the rest of the way." Pablo is like that as well. What I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that like you know what? I don't want to if I don't have to in that first inning.
Yeah, so it's like I majority of the time I'm like, I'm kind of the same way. Like I'll throw everything in the first inning, but there's certain guys that it's like, for instance, like Jordan Alvarez is
Hmm.
one of the best hitters I think I've ever faced. And
Yeah, I
it's like
mean, insane.
sometimes that I have a game plan against him and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, this is my game plan today, and I'm gonna try to save something for later on, or maybe a second or third at bat just to see, what happens. Or, I'm gonna try. I tried this last time. Last time I faced him, I tried, maybe a previous outing. I tried this, and yeah, it worked all right for one of the at bats, with the other two not as well. And then it's like, all right, well, this start, I'm gonna go this direction and save what I did last time until maybe, later in the game, if I really need it, it's like, all right, as long as I execute it, I'm good. But he hasn't
Right.
seen this way of attacking him, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's also, I don't
He's so
even know.
good.
He's incredible. It is, it,
The one weakness that people say that he has, and which I generally do see too, is kind of funny, is what do you know, a sinker inside
yeah,
from a lefty, which is why Robbie
he's
Ray
just,
showed up in that game and unfortunately did not work out well back in
he,
2022.
I just feel like he covers the plate so well. Like you see him,
Yeah.
you have to execute with him. It's almost fun to like game plan
Oh
a guy
yeah.
like that, because then it's like, all right, like this is what he's done all year, like really good hitter, obviously, and you know, just
That's the
execute,
challenge.
and yeah, it's fun.
That's
So
the best part. That's what we all look forward to too, like Otani versus Trout, right?
yeah,
Uh, so I actually love this. I know it's cool. You missed the curveball, whatever. But is there that mentality that you have of, all right, I didn't quite have my curveball in the previous inning. I want to see early in this one if I have it.
yeah. So it's like a lot of times, like when we're brainstorming in the dugout and stuff, it's like, let's see if we can maybe get the curveball going. Like let's try to get a 0-0,
Right.
just get the feeling floated in there for a strike. See what happens, and then because all it might take is like one or two for a strike, and then all of a sudden it clicks, the feeling
Yep.
clicks, and it's like, all right, well, now I can, kind of run with it.
Sure. And is there a certain thing that goes through your head when you miss it like that? Is it first like, okay, you gotta keep my shoulder closed? Is it try and get out in
Uh,
front of it?
I
What's
think
going through
it's
your
more
head?
so I get to my toe a little early, and then it causes me to kind of get a hair cross bodied, which makes
Hmm.
me want to like fight backwards, and then everything's
Yeah.
just, kind of releasing behind me. So it's,
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh,
trying to find something that's a mental cue that's like, hey, all right, this is what you want to feel like, try this. And there's a few things that I've picked up on over the you know last, I'd say towards the end of the season and over the off season, like playing catch. It's like, all right, like this is what I feel, but if I do this, try to feel this, it kind of puts everything back in line.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
that's the fun of it is like, okay, what are those little micro adjustments? There's a quote of Clayton Kershaw being like his teammates were just so intimidated because they would miss a pitch or something. Says, why don't you just do this? Like, why, make
Yeah.
the adjustment to pitch it here. And they go, what? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but like I don't know how to do that. And Christian's like, well, I know how to do that. You just do this thing.
Yeah.
And that's just unreal.
That's a special player right there. I've never got to see him pitch in person.
He's something.
Yeah, he's incredible.
All right. So after that one, by the way, that early curveball in the zone is what we call free real estate because you'll always get a called strike on it.
Yeah.
That looks like a cutter inside, and you see the aggression again, which says that you can continue to beat him with off speed. And there you go. You get the curveball in there, even though it's 1-1 and middle doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's
he's swinging like a
look. Yeah.
And this tells me personally, at poor Salvi, it looks like if that is Salvi behind the plate.
It's Freddie.
Isn't? Yeah, he just took the brunt of that. But I mean, with this aggression from Vaughn, I would think it would be the changeup now, or the slider, one of the two out of the zone. Right? Would that be the game plan here?
I don't know what I throw right here. It might be heater up, maybe cutter in.
So that was a
no, heater up. It was supposed to be
right. And him fouling that off to me says like, all right.
I think I throw him a changeup like almost in the other batter's box, and he like hits a ground ball to first base.
Is that right? So 1-2, you try and go back inside with it. Oh, a cutter that time, which I love that call.
Yeah, that's a good pitch. I don't mind that pitch at all.
Oh man. And you see that he's that's that one again. Let's see here, 2-2. Going back to the heater, and he's back still on it, and seeing, that's not a bad spot whatsoever.
Yeah.
And him fouling it off, it's like, okay, you have to change the speed now, I would think. You try the curveball. Yeah, I'm probably shouting at this point, like changeup or slider, inside this bar in LA as I watch this game. Oh yeah, there's a changeup again, horizontal. It goes away. Yeah. Yeah, that was that one was not one that you got on top of, and he just wanted a heater so badly.
Yeah.
You haven't shown your slider yet in this game, and you just blow 95 or 96 or however what that was. That's just amazing against Mankata. Fastball upstairs, and you see that aggression again. Are you thinking like you see that out of the zone there? Is your thought process first? Cool, I'll do it again because he's wants to swing at that. Or are you thinking, no, I got to change eye level or change speeds now because he's sewing on that?
I mean, I could go, I feel like either way I could try a slider right here. I could try, slider back foot, change up down and away. I don't really know what I do right here. I think to finish this at bat though, I think I get him looking on a heater away. I double up on 2 heaters away. He like takes one or fouls one off, I think, and then I get one like good pitch away, and it freezes him.
So so this is gonna be the last at bat because we're coming across the top of the hour, which is painful. But I would do this for hours with you, if you would have me. But the interesting part about 0-2 counts for me is you are really you're making a decision for the next 2 pitches often.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you go a fastball up here and he either fouls it off or he takes it, it's really hard to double up again on that one. And it's kind of then also telling that, hey, cool. Because like if you double up again, you've shown it to him so many times, he's there with it. But then if he's also thinking something slower, it's a little bit more telling that you would go for that next as well.
Yeah.
So
0-2, I've thrown 2 heaters. It's kind of like nobody on 0-2. I kind of I have an open slate to kind of go whichever direction I really am. Essentially, what pitch do I feel like I can execute the best right now? And, it's like 3 pitches or less, gone, next batter. It's something like that. That way you kind of save pitches.
Right.
It doesn't always work like that,
That's
like
the Pirates mentality.
Sometimes it's like, I put that in my head. I'm like 3 pitches or less. Like, I mean, kind of see what happens. Like just attack. So
absolutely. My theory of this is if you throw 2 secondaries out of the zone here down, you get them. It's okay if he doesn't take the first one, but if he doesn't go after the first one, does not mean he's not going to go after the second one.
Right.
And especially with the way that he's showcasing, I want a heater. It's just it's obvious in my book. So you have that slider, and again, if he's looking slider no 2 there, that's not fouling off,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, oh, just get it lower. Like that's probably
Yeah.
what I'm saying
I
here.
think I go change up right here, maybe.
Yeah, that's such a good pitch, though.
Like
Oh,
that's I see. I'm completely fine at 0-2. If that's my miss, I mean,
right. That's so
I'm
good.
in a good spot, in
Right.
my opinion.
So then, right. So you can make the decision of spotting a heater back there. He fouls a heater off there. So again, to me, that's him still on it, and then he takes a fastball away. Like it's probably laning it up on the changeup.
Yeah.
And you were able to freeze him there. Oh man, this has been incredible, Cole. I can't thank you enough for taking the time with us. I'd be
Yeah, no,
remiss
I've enjoyed it.
if I didn't tell you that I have this sent to you at Shred right now.
Alright.
I send you a copy of these. If you didn't know, we have a phrase "Ace is gonna ace" on our site for a great pitcher. So of course, AGA
That's
is
awesome.
highlighted here.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I send them those way, some of those to Shred. So hopefully you're able to get one there.
Sweet, thank you.
Make sure you do. But yeah, really, thank you so much, man, for taking the time with us. This was
Yeah, no,
awesome.
anytime.
And
I've enjoyed it. This has been
this is
awesome.
talking shop with you has been incredible.
Yeah, no, we'll have
But yeah,
to do it again maybe later in the season on an off day or something like that.
that would
So,
be incredible. I would love to do
yeah.
that. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, Cole.
Yeah, thank you.